Townhall ambapo tunakuletea matangazo haya moja kwa moja kutoka jumba la kibiashara la Greenhouse. Na mada yetu ya leo ni kuhusiana na masuala ya mihadarati na pombe, na at Just Mkenya katika mtandao wa Twitter anasema the Kiambu woman representative is right. Media is good in glorifying mediocrity. Kwanza radio, woi. Jethro 237 anasema true, the fight against drug and alcohol addiction is not that intensified. It should be done fast for rehabilitation, should be made available and not expensive as usual, and moral support is important to avoid relapse. Brian Mwagwaro naye anasema make the age of drinking alcohol 22 and above because 20-year-olds are still in high school. Lakini tukiendelea tu na mali ambapo tuliachia hapa kwenye Townhall, nataka tu kumpatia nafasi mtu mwingine ambaye pia alikuwa na changamoto hizo za kuwa mraibu wa pombe.
Asante Mashirima. Kwa majina naitwa James Modhi. I'm a recovering alcoholic and also I work at the Retreat Rehabilitation Center. Na ningetaka kwanza penye Caroline ameachia ambapo Mwaura alikuwa ameuliza swali kwamba when do you move from recovering to recovered, yeah? And when you look at just the definition of alcoholism or an addiction, WHO defines addiction as a chronic relapsing brain disorder. Yeah, it has an unknown etiology and if not treated can be fatal. Yeah, what that simply means is that there is treatment, it can be treated, but it's chronic. Yeah, I usually tell people just the same way you will never get treatment for diabetes and then you're fully recovered for diabetes, is the same thing with addiction. Yeah, so in most cases you'll find that you'll always be in recovery because it has potential for relapse. Yes.
Hebu sasa nimpatie nafasi daktari na pia mshauri nasaha aweze kutuambia kidogo tu kuhusiana na jinsi masuala haya yanaonekana pia sio tu ya uraibu bali pia ni matatizo ya kiakili.
Thank you so much. My name is Joroge Mwathi. I'm a clinical psychologist. I also run a rehab. One, I want to thank NACADA for the campaign and for the job they're doing. And again, I also want to emphasize that addiction has several phases. One of them is socio, the other one is psychological, and then there's also the biological aspect of addiction. The biological aspect of addiction, number one, is that the majority of the persons who use drugs have underlying psychological conditions. We call them comorbid psychiatric conditions. And when we talk about comorbid psychiatric conditions, we are talking about people who will have depression, people who will have bipolar mood disorders, people who will have post-traumatic stress disorders. And again, it has also been proven through research that people can be predisposed to the use of drug through genetics. Meaning, if today I'm using drugs, and using drugs to that level, which is considered fatal, there's a higher likelihood that the children I bear will also become addicts. So, without sounding as if I'm trying to medicalize what people you otherwise think is deviance, addiction is considered a biological disease, and that is why it is treated like so.
Okay.
So those are some of the things that we need to look at, but the social aspect, kindly, that is something we need to look at, because running, of course, is by seeing what other people do.
Okay.
Thank you.
Bwana Chair, I can give you a chance to respond, but even right now, when you look on social media today, one of the trending topics, in addition to Monday Report, and of course keep tweeting using the hashtag Monday Report, is why legalize it? A section of Kenyans on social media believe that marijuana, cannabis sativa, is a drug that should be legalized for medicinal use, etc. and so forth. And they're relying on data from the WHO who say that drugs like that should be reclassified, rescheduled. What is NACADA's take when topics like that are brought up, that certain drugs are not inherently evil or bad, that they can actually be used for some sort of good?
Thank you very much. I think from the discussion that we are having, you can see that most of us have a different understanding of what a drug is. We can see that people are struggling in basically understanding what alcohol and drug abuse is all about. And the underlying fact is that it's that product that you take that will affect your brain.
That's the definition of a drug.
It's so simplistic, because when you take that particular product that you think for recreational or medicinal purposes will affect the mood of your brain and everything else, that is what we are discussing. And as a result of that, you will start seeing certain things manifesting in your life, either physically or otherwise. Back to marijuana. Recreational use of marijuana, and all of you have access to internet, has got many consequences. Okay? You are talking about a product, for the sake of just making it simple, THG has got 400 chemical things or compositions in marijuana, 400 of them. So it will affect your brain in one way or another. Is that something that you want to try and play around with? And I'm sure the answer is no. Come to the medicinal purposes, that's a complete different subject, and there are all ways and means of how that is done and how it's controlled. If that is the discussion, that's a different ballgame. But I think most of the people who are discussing this particular subject are talking about recreational use of marijuana, and they want it to be legalized. Now, if we have a problem with alcohol, and we have all these people who are now going through treatment and rehabilitation, and they are struggling with their life and everything else, as a country, is that the direction that we want to go?
You're concerned that marijuana could go the same path?
Maybe even worse.
Tell us this, Bwana Chair. How are the drugs getting into our country?
The drugs are getting into this country just like any other criminal activity. Okay? We have cartels in this country. We have people who want to make money. Just like that person who starts a club in your neighborhood and he introduces shisha as a recreational thing. People in this country believe that the only way they can enjoy their life is making money, and it does not matter how they make money.
Okay.
So that is the situation that I find a lot of young people saying. And you remember, we used to have cases of professionals who are trafficking drug from one place to the other because they want to make money, and they don't care what effect it will have on my son and your daughter. Let me go to a very critical point, and this is public participation. Public participation is in the Constitution. The parents of this country, you people, the youth, must ensure that you engage your local MCA, your local member of parliament in this discussion and ask, do we want to see that bar, that wines and spirit in your neighborhood, that availability that our women rep is talking about?
They need to speak out.
And let me say this.
Yes.
Let me say this.
Yes.
NACADA came into being before devolution. Over the years, licensing of alcohol became a devolved function. And when it was devolved, that bar, and in most of the places you will see, we tripled the number of bars and restaurants in your neighborhood, because that's not a function of NACADA anymore. That function is undertaken by the county.
Okay.
So whether you go to Kiambu, Uasin Gishu, or whatever it is, NACADA is not involved in licensing. And let me tell you, from all the numbers that we have, we tripled the number of bars and restaurants.
When devolution
and these days we have more bars and restaurants more than primary schools in your county.
And
you can double
you
check
said
that.
devolution had a role to play in it.
And previously, that function was an NACADA function.
Fair enough. Thank you. And we'll give you a chance
that's where availability
to respond to that. But let's hear another question, Mashrima.
Na mnataka tu kukaribia mahali ulipo, manake yule ambaye nataka kumpatia nafasi sasa hivi amekaa tu karibu na wewe, Maxwell.
I'm Munyendo Justice Maxwell. a student at the Catholic University of Eastern Africa. Man will be apt and to the point. Mheshimiwa Kadhoni wa Mchomba, previously there was a crackdown on illicit liquors that was all over the nation, and it was appreciated that the crackdown came at a better time. But Mheshimiwa, we are worried. Away from the ambitious recovery program that we've initiated in Kiambu, in the August House, which follow-up measures in terms of enactment of regulations or laws, have you initiated or advanced that will guarantee that will give a guarantee that this menace is fully nipped in the bud, and that we will protect our people from these lethal drinks that are taking their lives in a manner that is not in an orthodox manner. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Mheshimiwa, you can take that. Go ahead.
Thank you. Thank you very much. It is true that we need to amend a lot of laws, especially our Health Act, because for me, I think in as much as we have our social and our legal framework to fight addiction and issues of addiction in this country, we do need to declare addiction a disease. And once we declare it as a disease, a mental disease or a physical disease, maybe NACADA will advise us, the government will be able to put in place a lot of measures that can assist us in the interventions processes. For example, I am currently running a rehabilitation and recovery center in my county. I think it's the first public facility we have in my county. And we have patients who come, and I call them patients because to me I believe they are sick and they need to be assisted medically. And they cannot afford even basic interventions costs. And we admit them for about 3 to 4 months. I do honestly think that they should be taken care of through NHIF, you know, for basic treatment interventions, because some of them come with other fundamental medical issues. For example, somebody is HIV positive and is an addict. So even as you treat addiction, we also have to take care of the other status. I mean, the other processes that need to be intervened. And therefore, we need to go to Parliament and amend a lot of laws so that we can be able to facilitate the interventions that we require medically, socially, legally, and otherwise, so that we can be able to help our people.
Okay.
I have not been able to make any amendment along the alcohol bill, because the alcohol bill that was done by the Honorable Mutudo was really, really inclusive. It has done a lot of work. And I think our problem is not the law. Let us be honest here. Our problem is implementation. We have been told clearly and authorized by the law, we should not allow bars and drinking dens next to primary schools. How many primary schools have dens next to them? And have we been able to remove the dens out of the school or the school out of the dens? We have been told so many things around the Mutudo law. Have we been able to implement the law? Because I believe if we implemented the law to the dot, we will not have a lot of issue. Of course, we are not going to have a 100% solution, but at least we will not have a lot of issue.
How do we avoid politics getting into the war against drug abuse?
That is the question.
Especially in certain counties.
Thank you.
Where it becomes a political issue. Your county, for example.
I bleed.
You have one initiative. Your governor has another initiative. The Senate has a different initiative.
I bleed when I see the issue of alcoholism and drug addiction getting married into politics. I really feel pain. At times I weep. One, because I know the pain of having a loved one who has a problem in addiction. I feel a lot of pain because this is a health issue that we should actually deal with, like we deal with TB, like we deal with any other disease. And for me, I am not doing what I do in my county because I am a politician. Because even before I was elected, I was still doing what I do. I actually was on the ground doing what I do in my own private ways. I don't know what we can do so that the politicians can understand that the issue of alcoholism and drug addiction is not a matter to politicize around.
You are one of the politicians.
And I wish I can even leave politics and do what I do. I wish I can. I wish And I wish I can get an opportunity to actually deal with this issue and give my sincere input without politics around it, because it's a serious issue. Wahiga, I interact with mothers who cry every day because of their sons. I interact with wives who cry every day because of their husbands. I have been interacting with them in my rehab center almost on a weekly basis, because I visit the center on a weekly basis when I have patients on session. And I can tell you the pain. This is not an issue where we should actually be mixing politics in it. In fact, this is a purely health issue.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
Let me quickly just add something. In addition, Mheshimiwa has very well put the health agenda into the issue. Let me give it a spin. It is also a security issue. Drug abuse has a correlation with crime trends. That young man will start stealing at home, will start selling things at home to be able to buy that drug that he or she is using. That person will upgrade himself to be a seasoned criminal. And you can check, all those guys who have been involved in crime are using one drug or another. So when you look at crime trends in this country, what you see and what you read, please, the underlying thing there is alcohol abuse or drug abuse, because it is a social problem that has got a cross-cutting effect. And I think what Mheshimiwa is saying, the time has come for us to stop taking this issue, yani kwa mzaha. Let me use Swahili. Tunaichukua jambo la alcohol na drug abuse kwa mzaha. When I see young people talking about it, when I see them abusing whatever they're abusing, it is sad, and you can read it from Mheshimiwa's face and actions, that the time has come to say that this issue is not an NACADA issue. It's about our loved ones. It's about my sister. It's about my cousin. It's about my performance, work-related. The president was completely clear. The issue of wellness in our workplace, the banning of schools that we see, the issue of depression and the issue of violence that we witness taking place in our universities. What do you think that is? So the time has come to call a spade a spade. The big elephant is that in our universities, in our secondary schools, we are abusing drugs and taking it lightly, and then we ban schools and say, tunataka serikali isaidie. The time has come that we, as Kenyans, must take our responsibility.
Thank you.
Hashtag tuwajibike.
Thank you. Thank you, Bwana Chair Mashirima.
Swala moja ambalo limeibuliwa na wengi ambao wametuma jumbe hapa, na pia Joseph Kajani ambaye nilimhoji hapo jana, ni kuhusiana na hivi vituo vya kurekebishia tabia ambavyo kuna wengi ambao wanahisi kuwa gharama ya kumpeleka mpendwa wako katika kituo hicho iko juu sana. Lakini pia kuna mwanafunzi hapa kutoka chuo kikuu kimoja ambaye ana swali linalofungamana na hilo.
Shukran sana Mashirima. Jina langu ni Mwaluse Meshak, mwanafunzi wa chuo kikuu cha Multimedia. Swali langu kwa mwenyekiti wa shirika hili la kupambana na mihadarati NACADA ni kwamba mbona nyinyi kama shirika msishikane na serikali, mlete vituo vya kurekebisha tabia karibu na sisi kama wanafunzi katika chuo, katika vyuo vikuu, kwa mfano shule za msingi, upili na vyuo vikuu. Manake vyuo vikuu vina waraibu wengi wa mihadarati kama hii, ashaku msimatusi kama vile bangi. Kwa mfano marafiki wangu wengi ambao nakaa nao karibu ni waraibu wa pombe na bangi. Je, wewe kama mwenyekiti wa shirika hilo na serikali mnaweza mkashikana ili mlete vituo hivyo karibu na sisi kama wanafunzi ili tuweze kurekebishwa tabia pale na kupewa ushauri na saha? Asante sana.
Bwana Chair,
nakubaliana na wewe. Ile inaitwa 100%. Na ndio nilisema kwenye mpango wa NACADA mashinani, tutakuwa kwenye vyuo, tutakuwa kwenye mashule.
Lakini mheshimiwa hapa anasema hiyo mashinani haoni NACADA hapo. Hebu muelezee.
Nataka kusema
mahali muko.
Mimi mwenyewe wakati ninakumbuka vizuri sana tulipoanza hii mpango wa kupigana na madawa ya kulevya, tulikuwa pahali panaitwa Makwa. I'm sure you can play the clip. Mahali ambapo Matiang'i mwenyewe na viongozi wote wa Kiambu tulikwenda pale, tukashirikiana na mashule na kila mtu kumwaga pombe. Hii ilifanywa kwenye this very small village of Makwa in Kiambu. Nakumbuka vizuri sana mheshimiwa alikuwako, and it was publicized. Now I'm saying this, if there is an opportunity, now I want to throw out this call. If it's a youth group, kama ni kanisa, kama ni faith-based organization, kama ni CBO, community-based organization yoyote katika Kenya, na wanasikia ya kwamba hatujashirikiana, laini zetu zimefunguka. NACADA hotline 1192, hata hivi leo nauliza, tupigie, tuandikie, na sisi tutakuja paka pale. Okay. Juzi tumekuwa Kisumu, International Day Against Drug Abuse. Hivi sasa tumeipeleka, ilianza Kiambu kwenye mashinani. Tulianza Kiambu, pale tukafanya, tukatoka hapo tukaenda Mombasa. Sasa hivi nimetoka Kisumu, where we did public participation, tulifanya walk kule, and we had everybody involved.
Okay.
Lakini natoa mwito, kama kuna university, kuna shule ambao wanasikia kabisa wana kitu ambacho wangetaka tufanye pamoja,
watume ujumbe kwa ile nambari umetaja hapo.
Na tuko tayari. It's a very open organization, and we are ready to welcome all those ideas.
Caroline, as someone who has gone through this and you've had the questions that have been asked, where are we getting it wrong in our approach to deal with it? Are there things you hear and you think, oh, that's not how we should be doing it? Can we look at it differently? What would you say?
For me, I think we need to do more of preventative measures than curative measures. Because what is happening right now in Kenya is that we are waiting for things to become bad. Then we take action. Why don't we start now when there's still time? Another thing I wanted to say earlier is that...
So when you say preventative, how do you know your loved one, your cousin, your workmate has a drug issue? What are there clear signs that you would say, this one, there's something there?
First of all, there's always the change in behavior. Somebody used to be this way, now they have become something that they are not.
Maybe it's the economy that is causing that.
We are blaming everything on the economy. That's not the way. In addiction counseling, there's something we do called the cage test. C stands for cut down. Has this person been drinking and they've been unable to cut down their drinking? A is for anger. Have people been angry at you, or have you been angry at yourself because of your levels of drinking? G is for guilty. Do you feel guilty anytime you pick up a bottle to drink? And E is for, what do we say, to end lock, kutoa lock. When you wake up in the morning, lazima utoe lock.
Before uanze siku yako.
Yeah. But then also another thing in the families, we have a way of trying to cover things up. We'll always say, like in my mother tongue, French, we always say, na huyu mtu anakunywanga sana siku hizi. You know, we just say it in passing, and you leave it at that. This person loses a job. You say maybe the HR was too harsh or whatever. We always make excuses for people. But we are at a point in Kenya, we need to start taking this thing seriously. Because we are in a bad place.
We're in a bad place.
Very honest, we're in a very bad place.
Okay, Mashirima.
Yeah.
Na moja sasa nimpatie nafasi Osanyo Moses, na akiuliza swali lake ampatie John Odhiambo pia aweze kutuliza swali ambalo nadhani tukilisahau itakuwa hatujafanya show nzuri leo.
Thank you. I'm Osanyo Moses. I'm representing Maseno University. My question goes to the chair of NACADA. What qualifies a drug to be termed as illegal?
Wacha mwingine aulize. You want to also add the question?
I'm Odhiambo John from the Cooperative University, Karen. My question is just simple. We can discuss the whole of drug abuse the whole day and night without tackling the drug barons. These are our brothers, our sisters. They are driving guzzler cars we all admire. Everyone wants to live the life they are living. And then we are the same people that you are telling us that the drug is bad. Yet they are the same people who are trafficking this drug. The first, I think, and these they are the people when arrested, they are being released on bond, on a cheap bond. Like the other day I saw it on TV, on Citizen TV. There was a certain presidential aspirant was arrested, serious trafficking with a V8. Who doesn't want to drive a V8? So the first thing we should discuss the issue, how does these drugs reach our children there in the school? How that these drugs are reaching way youths? We should curb the process before we discuss the issue of how we can prevent it. We should prevent first.
We should prevent first. Okay. Bwana Chair, and then Honorable Mushomba, 2 questions. When is a drug illegal? How, what makes a drug illegal? And then you've asked, is NACADA doing anything about the drug barons, the men and women bringing the drugs into the country?
Let me say that the whole issue of a drug, and when you declare the drug legal and illegal, is basically through the legal process. And we have the laws that are there in the country, and they go through the normal process and through the normal consultation of all the stakeholders and through all the professionals involved to actually classify that particular drug legal or illegal. But the discussion here today is about the abuse of that drug, whether it is legal or illegal. That is the discussion here today. So you will have a drug that maybe is a prescription drug. And for all intents and purposes, there is a way that drug should be prescribed. And when you go out of those norms, then you are abusing that particular drug, whether legal or illegal. That is the discussion. Coming to the whole issue of what we need to do and how we can curb drug trafficking and barons, as I say, it requires a multi-pronged approach. What does that mean? It means that the society has a role, me and you, and let me use
But Bwana Chair, allow me to interrupt you. Yeah. Your body is in charge of dealing with these issues. He wants to know specifically your body, what are you doing?
As far as NACADA is concerned, we deal with this problem through several levels. And one of them is what we call interagency level. At the county level, we have the interagency where the regional commissioner, the county commissioner, the county government are involved to deal with it, to do enforcement of the available laws and regulations. At that level is done. At the higher level, we have the multi-agency, the KRA, the KEBS, and we all sit as a multi-agency, and all those crackdowns that you hear are done by the multi-agency task force. So it's no longer a single effort by NACADA only. It's the entire government is involved, and all government agencies are involved, including, and I'm sure you know, we have the police, and we have got a special police involved in this thing. But all said and done, for me, the key success of this story will be when the Mwananchi admits and agrees that he or she has a responsibility. The day when that customer makes sure that he does not walk in and abuse shisha, for example, which was declared illegal, but I'm still being told, and the information that I have, that young people are still finding their way, and therefore they are customers. So this guy who puts up that wine and spirit has good customers, and people are buying. The day you and me make that decision, that I will not be the customer, and because when you become a customer, you will end up in the rehab, and you have already had rehab, and rehabilitation is expensive. So everybody's telling us, how do we make rehab cheap and a nice place? Can you see how we are chasing our tail in the whole situation? We start innocently, and now we want to make rehabilitation and treatment cost effective. When you answer, pesa ni zako. Guys, prevention is better than cure.
Thank you, Bwana Chair. Honorable Wamushomba, there are amendments right now to the Narcotics, Drugs and Psychotropic Substances Amendment Bill 2019. These are some of the proposals in it: giving police wider powers to track information linked to drug trafficking, allowing police to intercept information, bug hotels, etc., places they believe could be safe havens for drug lords.
I agree.
Is that enough? We've heard of lists being tabled before, in Parliament, for example.
It is not enough because, like I said, it is not that we have a loophole in the law. The law is there. It's the implementation that is really a challenge right now. But I want to really address the question you asked there earlier, whether we have our strategies right. And I would say our strategies are wrong, completely wrong.
As Kenya, as NACADA, as citizens,
as Kenya. The reason why I'm saying this is, you know, Wahiga, I don't understand why. I'm not trying to say that you should not arrest anybody who has been found either smoking or indulging or using or having used alcohol, bangi, and such like stuff. But I don't understand why we keep on putting these people in the cells and then we release them when they are sober. Then they go and drink again and use again, and then we put them in the police cells. I still don't understand. There are some people you look at the police arresting, you are like, surely you are arresting this guy? You are actually creating the path to his grave. Because there are people, if you arrest them today, tomorrow they will get withdrawal syndromes and they will actually get heart attack. Some of them die of hypertension. Others die out of diabetes. Because they are addicts, they are sick. You don't arrest a sick person. You take a sick person to the right hospital. So I'm saying we actually need to come up with serious amendments, even at the county level. Ensure that in every level 6 and level 5 hospital, we have a special ward to treat and take care of these patients. Because honestly, they are patients. Like, for example, come to Kiambu prisons right now. What the chairman is calling the multi-agency operations. When the operations are happening, the many people you find in the cells struggling and trebling out of withdrawals, others are sick, others are hungry, others are overcome by other fundamental medical issues that they had. Like I had said earlier, some people who really are addicts have other issues. I still think our strategies are not right.
You still think our strategies are not right?
Our strategies are not right when it comes to interventions, when it comes to multi-agency operation. For example, he has said very clearly that we start from the interagency at the county level. Right now, the issue of alcoholism in the counties is not a salvaging process. It is a money-making process. The county governments are very excited to deal with the alcohol issue so that they can open as many bars as possible, collect as much money as possible.
That's a very strong allegation to make.
Yes, but it is true and it is factual. He has said it very clearly. Before the issue of, he said, let me say what he said. Before the devolution of the NACADA role, okay, we had less bars.
So bars have tripled. Okay,
bars have tripled when we devolved the function to the counties. Today, we have more bars in Kiambu County than we have primary schools in Kiambu County. This is factual. You can go to the ground and verify whether I'm right. Why do we have more bars than primary schools? Who are drinking? Some of them open 5 bars in one shopping center and there's only one butchery. We take more alcohol than meat, yet we are the farmers. What is our problem?
What are you doing to shut down those bars?
Nothing until we change what I'm saying. We need to actually sit down and come up with clear strategies on what we are doing. Because the county government has employed more. Look at, I was in the task force in the year 2013 when we agreed that we are going to have alcohol directors in every county. Do you remember that position? And we sat there coming up with TORs, terms of reference, to advertise for the directors of alcohol and illicit liquor board. And the kind of qualifications that the governors were pushing is not for somebody who can actually arrest issues of alcoholism and addiction. They were looking for money collectors, money managers. Okay. Why? Is alcoholism and alcohol addiction issue of money or issue of people's health and people's welfare? So our strategies are all wrong. The county government should not be trusted with the issue of alcoholism. The county government should never be trusted with the implementation of that issue.
Fair enough. I'll give you a chance to respond. Let's get a few more questions before we...
Kwenye mtandao wa Twitter, Lizzie Kanyi M anasema we need to start being ready to handle drug addiction as a country. We need to increase the number of workers who help to fight this. Na tukimalizia tunataka kuwapatia wanadada hapa nafasi ya kuuliza yale maswali ambayo walikuwa wamenieleza awali. Winnie, kisha tuende kwa Efi.
Hello, my name is Winnie from the Catholic University of Eastern Africa. Okay, my comment is that we've had so many cases of drug addiction, especially in campus. Okay, I think that the main issue of concern is parents have failed in their duties to educate their children on the drug abuse effect. They give their children so much freedom, and again they don't spend much time with their children. We find that most of the children are left at home with their maids. The parents only come back in the evening. They don't know what the children do. So parents should take it upon themselves to take care of their children and create awareness on them on issues of drug abuse. Thank you.
My name is Effie from the University of Nairobi with a very keen interest in psychology. My question is, in psychology, it has been found that the use of drugs is linked to maybe the inability to deal with issues of life. So, is there a way that we are addressing the issue of drug abuse from the psychological perspective? Thank you.
Okay, let's get a reaction. Carlin, I think you can handle that. Link between mental health and addiction. Proven yet? Is that something that you look at when people come to see you?
Statistics prove there's a correlation between mental health and addiction. For example, people who suffer from depression or suicidal ideation, things like bipolar, something called bipolar, they have a tendency to go off-board and get into addiction. So there's that correlation, yes. It has been proven, and I think there's still new statistics coming out every other day. To the lady who talked about parents leaving their children with house helps, I choose to agree with what she has said. I also think that parents, especially in our generation, we are busy chasing money. So we are not talking about alcohol and drugs and sex and whatever to our kids. One thing I feel very strongly about is that parents...
Some would say that they are trying to make money to cater for those children as well.
But those are that money you're running after, which is not bad, is the same money you're going to use to take your kids for rehab. There's a correlation, there's a very strong relationship between dysfunctional families and addiction also. No parent thinks that their child will become an addict until their child becomes an addict. You know, parents are always saying, oh, the child of that one has become an addict, and they're laughing until that child becomes your child. Parents have failed. Many parents have failed. They don't talk to their children about issues. They leave their children to be taught by the television, by social media, by their peers. These same peers are also coming from broken homes. So if I'm from a broken home, I will teach you what I learned from my broken home. And because even you have self-esteem issues, you will quickly get into what I'm telling you about, and that is how people are becoming addicts. That's how people are getting into funny behaviors that no one can understand. This thing called addiction can be, how do I say, it can be uprooted from home. If most of us, like I have 2 children, I talk to my children about addiction. I struggled with addiction for a very long time. My son saw things he should not have seen at his age. But if I don't talk to him, he will learn from the TV. So you have to be very categorical and very clear. If we are able to talk to our children, I'm telling you, the rate of addiction will go down drastically. But we are not. We are leaving them to the helps. To Akina TV, to Akina Maisha Magic, Selena, I don't know who. What do we expect?
Okay. What do you expect? You've used Akina TV. I haven't had an expression like that in a while. Mashima, kuna maswali zingine?
Nataka tu kumpatia Bruce Newton swali, nafasi ya kuuliza swali. Manake kuna wale ambao kwenye mtandao wa Twitter wamesema kuwa wengi wanalaumu sana vijana kwa kutumia mihadarati na pombe. Bruce labda atatueleza ni kwa nini.
My name is Bruce Newton Mugai. I'm the regional coordinator of Nairobi ADA, the legitimate arm of KUSO. My question goes to the whole panel. We must understand on the ground what is leading to the usage of drugs in our universities, especially comrades. We understand that comrades are always right and never wrong. The reason as to why, reason number 1 which is leading is because of stress. Stress leads to depression. And the only way to opt out of depression in relation to killing yourself or committing suicide is just using drugs. This stress is brought up when the administration inputs petty issues. They suspend our students because of politics. They bring impromptu cuts. So my main question is, the organization, what are you doing to try to implement also things to do with advice in our institutions?
I did not know that impromptu exams can lead to drug addiction. So can anything be blamed, Bwana Chair, on leading to risk factors? What are credible risk factors when it comes to drug addiction?
I think one of the things that is coming out very clearly is being able to distinguish between a myth and a fact. I think that's what young people are struggling with. And as I said, NACADA, we are available to come to a university, to a youth group, and explain to you in detail what that drug that you think you are consuming and what it will do to your mind and to your well-being. That is a discussion that we need to have. And I agree that we need to do that. The other thing is the whole concept of what the society believes. And this is, I think, what we are addressing. Within the boundaries of Kenya, there is a general belief that for you to be cool, for you to enjoy a nice lifestyle, for you to act in a movie, because you have been watching all the events in Hollywood, then the only thing is to enjoy an afternoon of drinking and making merry. This is stories that have been told through advertisement, through Hollywood, and songs and dance. That is where the challenge is, and that's the challenge that NACADA is facing. Being able to face facts, and I'm sure you know, as a young man, because a young man is a person who wants to experiment in life. I was a young man once, and I grew up in the eastlands of Nairobi. A young man wants to experiment and to take, and to gamble with life. Unfortunately, as I talked about life skill, some of us manage to go through, others will end up in rehab. And that's the sad story. So for me, one thing that we need to say in this program is the time has come for you to separate a myth and a fact. And NACADA is your shoulder to lean on. Okay. And we are able to provide you all the available data, research, and anything you want. The truth about drugs. I have an entire 20 or so booklets here that can address any drug that you think it's cool today.
Thank you. Thank you, Bwana Chair. And I know they can get more information on the website.
We are available.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Even as we get final comments, Caroline, let me read two quick tweets. One person here says, we need to reduce rehabilitation prices, increase rehab centers, and be proactive in educating the public and disseminating important information. While Anthony Chege says, I support Honorable Gathoni that we need to decriminalize addiction. It is a disease of the brain. Stop arresting the addicts, arrest the drug barons and peddlers. Caroline, in closing, you told us clearly that you're a recovering addict. What was your greatest empowerment? What gave you strength to get out of what you say was a very bad place? Briefly, what did you say that was? As a solution to someone watching who's thinking, I need to get out.
For me, I just decided I was tired.
Okay.
Enough was enough. And also, I think my parents' prayers were also very instrumental in my life. My parents are born again. My dad literally held my hand through the whole process. From the time I decided enough was enough, to the time I walked all the way home to tell him I was tired, to the time he got me into rehab, to the time I came out.
Okay. Support of parents and your personal initiative got you out of this.
You need to decide. Someone is saying we increase rehabs. I'm all for rehab. Rehab for me, I spent the best 90 days of my life in rehab. I don't think I'll ever have 90 days in my life just to sit down and think about my life ever again. But again, rehab is also not the answer. You can be taken into rehab and you decide you don't want. You can decide to get into rehab and just stay there because you have been taken. You will come out one day. In 3 months, 1 year, 2 years, whenever. At some point, you'll come out. Then what?
Okay.
If you have not decided within yourself, if you have not resolved your underlying issues, what we call unfinished business, it's a failure. That's why you'll hear one person has moved from 1 rehab to 6 rehabs, and you wonder, is it that the rehabs are a scam or what? But if you've not decided as an individual, getting into rehab is a waste of time.
It's a waste of time. Okay, that's a good parting shot. Honorable Wamushomba, last word from you.
We are doing badly. We are losing young men to depression, young women to depression that are related to addiction. In my county, every month, I lose about 5 to 10 young people due to depression related to addiction. It's alarming. We must do something.
We must do something about it.
We must do something about it.
Thank you. Thank you so much. That has been Honorable Gathoni wa Mushomba, who of course is the woman representative Kiambu County. Thank you for joining us today and weighing in on this discussion as well. We've had Lieutenant Colonel retired Julius Githiri, who joined us for the program. He's the chair of NACADA. Thank you as well for coming to share and for it and telling all the groups 1192, send a message.
1192
and they can
NACADA
get
hotline
in touch with you.
And
on the same.
NACADA has an open policy.
Okay.
And we invite you to be a part of the fight.
Thank you so much, Bonatia, and of course Caroline Kagia, who's a certified addictions professional and an inspirational speaker who was brave enough to come and share her story on the program today. Thank you so much, Caroline, for that. And to our...
I'm very passionate about women.
More women should come out.
More women should come out because very many women are stuck in this thing.
Okay, thank you so much. I believe the women who are here and those who are watching have heard that as well. Thank you to everyone who's watched the program. Of course, we've been live from the Greenhouse Mall where this discussion was. The hashtag Monday Report. Let's keep engaging online. And 22422 is our SMS line. My name is Wahiga Mwaora. And of course, helping us with the questions, Mashirima Kapombe.
Na Mwahiga, pia kwa wale ambao wameungana nasi na wameweza kupata nafasi ya kuuliza maswali na kutoa kauli kuhusiana na jinsi ambavyo tunaweza kupata suluhu, tunasema asante. Mimi ni Mashirima Kapombe, usiku mwema.